Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Whaley, and thank you for joining our panel discussion today on we're going to explore different aspects of charitable giving and the impact that it makes on global communities and the organizations that give. So we're going to be sharing with you three different unique perspectives on charitable giving. And to share those unique perspectives, I'm going to introduce our speakers today. First, we have Tanya Pinto. She's a UX principal researcher at Microsoft. And to make it even more interesting than that, she's also founder of Baldon Charities. Baldon is a children's charity that's celebrating its 20th anniversary now. And they bring much needed nutritional relief and educational programs to children in some of the most critically impacted regions of the world. Secondly, we have Steve Quirk. Steve is president of Quirk's Media. Many of you may be familiar with Quirk's Media. They're a global content and events provider. And they, for more than 30 years that I've been doing business with you, and maybe longer, they've provided they built a research community to share thought leadership and create a community where people can come together and build stronger partnerships. And then again, I'm Jim Whaley, and I'm founder and CEO of Ovation MR. Ovation MR is a global insights organization who, through providing audiences, insights, and research technology, we make it easier for researchers to do the work that they believe in and trust so that they may help their companies, their communities, or their causes in the pursuit of making what we believe that every day is a great day for discovering why. So getting into it, in addition to our perspectives, we collectively put together a survey instrument among 80 top leaders in the research insight space, whether they're individual company proprietors all the way up through mid-size to very large organizations. It's either the owners or the very senior leaders that have responded to this survey, providing their unique insights. So the good news is that nearly 3/4 of Insights leaders and owners do give to charities, and they do it on a regular basis. And they do it in a way that's highly intentional. So they think about the organizations they give to and the impact those organizations are making when they're choosing who they're going to give their dollars to. But most of them also articulated the fact that they'd like to do more, but some of the things that are holding them back is the ability to have the assets or the funds needed to do it, to be able to give more. And I think that this sort of correlates with the idea that most companies aren't really seeing charitable giving as a driver of ROI or corporate equity or brand equity. They really see it as a personal choice and something that supports their company's values. So overall, giving happens in an informal way that changes as companies get larger, but most people prefer to support causes privately or in a more personal way. So with that, we'll just get into the discussion.
Thank you. So this was very interesting data that came out from this survey. And actually, Jim, I'd like to hand it back to you to ask you a question. Having looked at this data, let's talk about companies and who gives to charity. Why is it that the research industry seems to have such a fragmented approach to giving?
Yeah, well, I think, interesting question. I think that if you look at the insights industry, especially how it's evolved today, there are literally tens of thousands of unique research organizations, whether they're small independent practitioners, maybe a couple of people, to mid-sized companies that are maybe regionally focused, have a little bit more infrastructure, a little bit more organization, and the resources to maybe form thoughtful approaches to different types of, where they spend their money. And then very large. As a matter of fact, over 60% of companies are less than $1 million, okay? And another 20% are in that mid-tier range, leaving only about 15% to be at the very highest ranges. And really, 3 to 5% of those are the people like Ipsos, Kantar, GFK, WPP. So it's really very, very unique landscape. And what we'd see is correlated is that the larger you get as an organization, the more likely you are to give a higher percentage of money to a charity or a nonprofit. And I think that's mainly, again, due to the fact that most organizations that are smaller think about it in a more informal way, and more organizations as they grow, do it in a much more strategic way and have programs to help employees give.
Yeah, and just to add on that, so it was at a conference like this about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, and having drinks with some market research leaders, and we just serendipitously just all of a sudden started talking about that we each gave. And we actually had this whole conversation of charitable giving, and we were all actually doing the exact same charitable giving. We, at the time, our company, not very big, was giving money to Haiti. And the MREF, the Market Research Education, we founded it as a way, because there was this kind of scattered approach that we were all doing, and we were all small companies, and we're like, well, if we actually brought the community together, we could make a bigger impact. And so kind of from this, this is why we started the Marketing Research Education Foundation. It was a way for us to come together and not be so fragmented, and we could make a larger impact. So I think, we'll get into this a little bit more, but I think there's what we've learned is, if you can pull people in, instead of doing it ad hoc, you can certainly have a greater impact if you can find like-minded people and pool your funds, especially if you're a smaller company, which in this industry, there's probably 80% of the companies are going to fall in the certainly under 5 million.
Yeah, and I just might add that, MREF does a really great job of articulating the impact that they make, and it helps company owners do a better job of, being part of something that can articulate that impact. Yeah. Which I think is one of the issues that we found in the study, is articulating impact. So with that, I'm going to throw a question out. Given that most people agree that having tangible giving is important, almost 2/3, they don't really see giving as impactful or making a dent on their company brand equity or their ROI. And I think that's part of the whole thing that's being unraveled here, is that trying to tie that together and understand how that makes sense strategically. So I'd ask Tanya, so how would you better understand the impact of charitable giving? How can people maybe understand that and digest it a little bit more?
Yeah, well, as a founder of a charity that also works in research, it's a question I get all the time when people say, is the impact just the monetary donation? And what I would suggest is the donation is just the start of the impact having a charitable partnership can have on your brand. I have seen it boost employee morale, boost loyalty, and when we've come in and done fundraisers or programs, you can literally see teams light up because they're doing something that they know is going to have an impact out there in the world. And it brings people closer together. I think when there's a consistent messaging around it, when the CEOs and leaders of the company are also really excited and invested in that charitable program, I think it has an immeasurable impact that's way beyond dollars.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. Steve?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. For us at the MREF, what has been amazing is, as smaller companies, maybe giving $5,000 to $10,000 is a lot of money, but we're a group of probably about 50 research companies right now, and we are now collectively donating on average over $100,000 each year to organizations such as Baldan. We found partnerships that we all kind of agree on, and that is, as an individual, being able to say, oh yeah, I gave 5,000, while it's really important maybe to me, that it's harder to make an impact, but as a group, and we can go back at the end of the year and be like, well, we helped kids in the Sudan, we helped girls get education who were displaced because of the Ukrainian war, we're helping a school in Haiti, and so we're making a really impact, and that gives a better story, and it helps us bring more people in. So I think it kind of goes back to the whole thing. If you are smaller and you want to try to make a bigger impact, find people within the industry who are like-minded and try to partner with them, or partner with a Baldan who also has connections to the industry.
Or an MREF.
Or an MREF, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, thank you for that. And then Steve, you're up.
Yeah, so one of the things from the survey that came is that some companies have started to shy away, have indicated that they're starting to shy away because of the political and risk to their brands if they pick the wrong charity, whether it be to their employees or even to the clients, and with social media being called out. So, turn it over to you guys. I mean, when there's a perceived risk of giving to a charity, what can be done about that?
Yeah. Well, I'll take that.
Okay.
So for us, we try to make it as simple as possible, both for the the leaders that are putting money into these nonprofits in an intentional way, and for our employees, so that they understand our program and help them get involved, maybe even with volunteering and maybe giving money. But for us, it's just to have these three pillars. And the first pillar is we focus specifically on market research education. So we partner with organizations like the MRII, the Market Research Institute International, and with companies like Significant Insights to really help develop core programs to help provide more and more educations to people that are interested in entering the industry at the beginning of their careers, or maybe making a mid-career change, or just want to upskill in general. So we think that's important to the health of our industry as a whole, and we focus on helping those organizations. The second pillar is really about market research efficacy and longevity. So we partner with organizations like the Archive of Market and Social Research in the UK, who is creating content much like Roper does, the Roper Institute, to store archives of market research from many decades, starting from the 1940s. And so it allows researchers in the industry to go and pull up data from studies from three decades ago and compare that with trends today. And it also provides access to students, both in high school and college, to be able to go and do research that's specifically fact-based and get really good understanding of historical context. And then the last pillar is really helping children be fed and educated in the areas, like I said earlier, where things are needed the most. And if we focus on those three things, we think that it's aligning with our company mission and our company values, and it's something that our customers will find interesting about us beyond just helping them grow their businesses.
Yeah, and as the founder of a charity that's helped children for almost 20 years and provided aid in over 14 different countries, there are risks, and things are getting increasingly polarized these days. And I do get people and donors say to me, well, what if this happens, or why are we doing this in this country instead of another country? And what I always go back to is, what's your why? Why is it that you want to help children in need? What are your company values? Why are you choosing to partner? Have you communicated that to your employees, to your clients? And when you've established that and you've made that part of your narrative, it buffers you against those potential risks. So if something does happen that is polarizing, you've always maintained this notion of why you're giving. Jim's just laid out his philosophy of giving in so many different areas, which is really impressive, and we thank you for it. But I think that having that why articulated, authenticity and alignment can really help buffer you against any potential risks. Because every partnership does have risks, but I think the benefits when you especially give to charities definitely outweigh the risks.
Yeah, that's what we think too. So just kind of winding this up, I'm going to give everybody a last word on what their takeaways were from this. So, Tanya?
Yeah, I think when it comes to charitable giving, be authentic. Authenticity is measurable. Don't worry about just the impact of the monetary donation or the number. They're going to get so many more benefits from partnering with great organizations that need the help. As an industry, you can have a lot of power. As an industry, through MREF, you've helped already, through my charity, to feed hundreds of children, save the lives of hundreds of children. So please don't stop giving. And if you need tips on how to give, what to do, how to make a strategy, come and find us at the end of this presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, find partners and that you can work with, so you can build scale, and you can build scale within your own company, getting your employees involved. And at every level, it doesn't have to be monetary. Do service projects, and even survey your employees. That's what I do. What kind of giving do they want us to give? What do they want us? What kind of volunteer work do they want to do? Because the more people you can bring in, the greater impact you can have. And so, and look within the industry, there are a bunch of nonprofits, whether it's Baldon, the Marketing Research Education Foundation, the MRBA in the UK, and there's just, you'll be amazed. Talk to people. There's so many people who do give, and together we can make just a huge impact.
Yeah, that's true. So I would just say that think about charitable giving as adding more dimensionality to your business, helping build brand trust, brand awareness, also secondarily talent acquisition, not just talent acquisition, but talent retention. People want to work in a place that has purpose, and that's a meaningful, trigger for people to choose who and where they're going to spend a good portion of their life every day. And then, I guess, lastly, I think that people don't really talk about this much is the idea of its impact on your innovation culture in the business. Just in working with these various organizations, having gone through helping solve some of the big challenges they have in order to see their mission through to the end. It's caused us to rethink how we solve those big problems. And we've been able to build technology and processes and think about the world differently through connecting with lots of different people from various different backgrounds and perspectives to build better processes within our organization and think more creatively and build an infrastructure that really supports the idea of innovation. So that's our presentation. I just want to let you know that if you're interested in learning more about this, getting the research results from our survey, or getting a guide to best practices and tips on how to implement a program in your organization, or just become more aware of nonprofit and charitable giving, you can click on that QR code, and that'll take you to the Amref site.
Yeah,
and where you'll get some really, really great information. So we thank you for spending the time with us today, and please reach out to us. Ovation is at booth 38. We're kind of in the center, in the middle, against the wall. You shouldn't be able to miss us. And we have lots of people here that'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So have a great Congress.
Thank you.